Don't give up. Long ago, Lord Buddha and his disciples were traveling through a series of villages in search of places where they could teach the Dharma. Their journey had been long, and the days were warm, the sun relentless. Buddha walked calmly, his mind at peace despite the weariness that weighed on the bodies of his disciples. They stopped in each village they passed, offering teachings and encouraging people to embrace the path of enlightenment. One day, as they were traveling, they came across a small village nestled by the edge of a lush forest. As they entered the village, Buddha noticed a man sitting under a tree by the side of the road. His posture was slumped, his eyes cast downward, and his face was heavy with despair. It was clear that he had been sitting there for a long time, as though lost in his thoughts. The villagers, noticing Buddha's presence, parted respectfully, and some even whispered about the great teacher. However, the man remained seated, oblivious to the approaching crowd. Buddha's gaze met his, and he walked over to the troubled man, his footsteps soft and steady. The man looked up at Buddha with a weary expression. He stood slowly, as though the weight of his heart kept him from rising fully. With a sigh, he said, "Lord, I have heard of your teachings, but I find no hope. My life is full of pain, struggle, and failure. I have worked hard for many years, yet nothing ever changes. No matter what I do, I cannot succeed, and I have begun to feel that it is better to give up. I do not see the point of trying anymore. Please help me find a way to end my suffering." Buddha, hearing the man's words, saw deep sorrow and frustration within him. Instead of speaking immediately, Buddha decided to teach the man a lesson through a simple task. He pointed to a nearby lake and said, "Do you see that lake over there? It is beautiful, is it not? Go and bring me a pot of water from it." The man, though puzzled, agreed. He grabbed a small clay pot and began to make his way toward the lake, but as he drew closer, he noticed something troubling. The lake, which appeared peaceful at first glance, had recently been disturbed by a herd of buffalo that had crossed through it. The water was murky, churned up by the movement of the animals. He attempted to collect some water in his pot, but it was too cloudy to drink, much less offer to Buddha. Frustrated, the man returned to Buddha and said, "Lord, I cannot bring you water from the lake. It is too muddy. The water is full of dirt and cannot be used." Buddha, who had been patiently observing, smiled gently. He said, "It is not yet the right time. Go back and sit by the lake. Allow the mud to settle before you try again. When the water becomes clear, bring it to me." The man, although confused, was willing to follow Buddha's instruction. He walked back to the lake, sat down by the water's edge, and waited. At first, the man was restless. His mind was clouded with frustration, just as the water had been. He kept glancing at the muddy lake, wondering when it would clear. He sighed, his impatience growing with each passing moment. But as he sat there, he began to notice the stillness of the air, the quiet rustling of the trees, and the distant chirping of birds. Slowly, his own agitation began to subside. He stopped fidgeting and allowed his mind to settle. The longer he waited, the more he noticed that the mud at the bottom of the lake was gradually sinking and the water above was becoming clearer. The man watched in awe as the lake slowly regained its peaceful state. After some time, the water had settled completely and the surface was smooth, reflecting the sky above. The man stood and filled his pot with the now clear water, returning to Buddha with a sense of calm he had not felt before. He handed the pot of water to Buddha, and Buddha looked at him with a wise smile. "Do you see now?" Buddha asked. The man nodded slowly, understanding something deep within. "Yes, Lord. At first, the water was murky, and I could not use it. But as I waited patiently, the mud settled, and the water became clear. I see now that this is how my mind works as well. When I am disturbed and frustrated, my thoughts become cloudy, and I cannot see the way forward. But if I allow myself time to calm down, my mind will clear, and I will find the answers I need." Buddha nodded and continued, "Indeed, life is often like that lake. When we face difficulties, we can become agitated and upset, just as the water was stirred up. In these moments, it is easy to lose hope and give up. But patience is the key. If you do not give up, if you let the mud of your emotions settle, you will find clarity and the way forward. The man stood in awe, his heart filled with a new understanding. Buddha went on, "You see, the challenges in life are like the mud in the lake. When we are caught up in the turbulence of our struggles, it seems like there is no way to move forward. But if you remain patient and do not rush to judgment or action, the mind will settle and you will find peace. Remember this: success and wisdom come to those who have the patience to let the water clear." The man's eyes began to sparkle with renewed hope. He thanked Buddha deeply and promised to carry this lesson with him in every moment of his life. "I will not give up, Lord," he said. "I will be patient, and I will wait for the mud to settle. I will trust that clarity will come, just as the water becomes clear when given time." As Buddha and his disciples continued their journey, the man remained in the village, and over time, his life began to transform. Whenever difficulties arose, he would recall the image of the lake. He learned to pause, breathe, and allow his thoughts and emotions to settle before taking action. His patience paid off, and with time, his life became much more peaceful. He found success not only in his external endeavors, but also in his inner peace. His story spread throughout the village, and many others came to learn from him. They saw in him a man who had learned not to rush, not to give up, but to trust that with patience, clarity would emerge. He became a symbol of perseverance, and his transformation was a reminder to others that in the face of adversity, the best thing to do is often to wait, reflect, and allow time for clarity to come. Moral of the story: life is filled with obstacles and hardships that often feel overwhelming, like muddy water clouding our path. However, when we face these struggles, we must remember that we don't need to rush through them or give up. Patience, calm, and time allow our minds to settle, bringing clarity and understanding. Success and peace come not by avoiding difficulties, but by embracing them with patience, letting the muddy waters of life clear so that we can see the way forward.